Happy Sunday, baseball way of lifers. How you all doing? The good news is the weather's getting warmer, and we're only barely working days away from opening day. Yes, 11 days from opening day. And are you psyched? I am. I hope you guys are. But anyway, today we're continuing our 30 and 30, 30 teams in 30 days. And today the big spotlight will be on the Oakland A's. Now, you got to wonder about the Oakland A's. Are they as good as they were last year, despite the fact they had off years from Matt Olson, Ramon Laureano, Chris Davis, and Matt Chapman? But the West was so bad last year in the abbreviated 60-game schedule, they finished 7 games ahead of the Astros. Now, on the counterpoint is, if these guys all return to form, these A's could be quite dangerous in 2021. And I'm leaning towards the latter, especially Matt Chapman. He's just too good to be held down low like he was last year. And Olson and Laureano are just great players, and over 162 game schedule, they're going to put up the numbers for you. So I'm expecting big things from the A's this year. I always think that the A's, they give it the first half of the year to see where they stand. If they're in contention, they'll go and add those missing pieces. They always have and always will. They may not have the either top 5 or top 10 players on their team, but they do what it takes. They have a quality lineup 1 through 9 all the time. And that's a tribute to the Oakland A's and their general manager and overall administrative staff on putting a good ball club out every year. But before we go into the 2021 lineup and what that may bring, let's go into the history of the Oakland A's. Now, a lot of you are just newcomers to baseball. A lot of you just only remember baseball from when you started following it. And I don't even remember the Philadelphia A's, but the Philadelphia A's had a very storied past in baseball history. And the A's, when they were Philadelphia, were one of the American League's 8 charter franchises. They were founded in 1901, and they were known as the Philadelphia Athletics. They won 3 world championships in 1910, 1911, and 1913, and then back-to-back titles in 29 and 30. Those back-to-back titles fly under the radar because that was the Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig era. Those A's teams were as good as the Yankees. I mean, they were solid. And a lot of Hall of Famers came from those teams, and I don't think enough credit is given to the A's from that era. And as we all know, the owner and the manager of the A's for the first 50 years was Connie Mack. Yes, Connie, the man who didn't wear the uniform and was very stoic in the dugout, but he knew what he was doing. And the amazing thing is, the A's are the franchise that had to end up leaving Philadelphia. The Phillies have remained the heart and soul of Philadelphia despite only winning 2 world titles the whole time they've been in Philadelphia. So it's weird. So I guess you could always say that Philadelphia has always been a National League team, and they love the Phillies more than the A's, even though the A's had a better history than the Phillies. Now, of course, some of the Hall of Fame players that the A's had were Chief Bender, Frank Home Run Baker, Jimmy Fox, and Lefty Grove, and you can go on and on and on and on. Pretty impressive. And then they left Philadelphia, and they saw greener pastures in Kansas City, where they became the Kansas City Athletics. And then they moved to Oakland in 1968. And that's when they became the Swinging A's in 72, 73, and 74 and captured the imagination with their multicolored uniforms, white batting helmets, yellow jerseys. They did it all. Multicolored spikes. And 72, 73, and 74, Reggie and that whole crew, they were talk of baseball. They didn't draw well, but on a national scale, they had a lot of attention put upon themselves by the flavor that Charlie O'Finley exhibited in that ball club. He had them all wearing mustaches. He paid them all money if they wore mustaches, and they were quite a colorful team. And unfortunately, there wasn't cable TV, so you didn't get to see the A's until they played in the postseason, but they were quite popular when they got the game of the week on a Saturday, which was rare indeed because they basically focused on the teams from the Central to the East. But when the A's were on TV, people loved to watch the A's back then. Now, we all remember some of those guys on the A's teams Catfish, Vita, what colorful names. Catfish Hunter, Vita Blue, Reggie Jackson, Raleigh Fingers. You can go right down the line. Joe Rudy, Gene Tennis, Kenny Holtzman. If you grew up in that era, you'll never forget the A's. They were part of your life. Now, the A's from 1901 to 1920 to 2020, their overall one-loss record is 9,064 and 9,476. So when you play that many years and are that far under 500, you know you've had some lean years. And the A's in both Philadelphia and Oakland had some lean years. Philadelphia, after the A's run in the 30s, they started selling off players and kind of dismantled the franchise a little bit. And the same thing with Charlie Finley when he started selling all the parts from the glory teams of the early 70s. Now, you may be wondering how the A's got their name. Well, it comes from the term athletic club, a local gentleman's club in Philadelphia that dated to 1860 when an average team, the Athletic Club of Philadelphia, was formed. So the A's kind of took their name from that athletic club in Philadelphia. And it's funny, like, how did they get the white elephant as like their logo on their uniform and everything? Well, an interesting story that John McGraw, after the Philadelphia A's were bought by Benjamin Scheib, when he had controlling interest in the team, had called the A's a white elephant, and that Scheib had a white elephant on his hands. Well, they played that one up, and Connie Mack defiantly, he's taking it all in stride, adopted the white elephant as the team mascot, and presented McGraw with a stuffed toy elephant at the start of the 1905 World Series. So he was a good sport. And that's how you always wonder, to call the Athletics, why is there an elephant? Well, that's the reason why. And it's been that way ever since. And then in 1963, when the A's were located in Kansas City, Charlie Finley changed the mascot to a mule because the mule was the state animal of Missouri. But then when they went back to Oakland, he changed it back to the elephant. And in 1988, which has become a permanent fixture of their uniform, an illustration of the elephant has adorned the left sleeve of the A's home and road uniforms. See that? You learned something new today. Aren't you glad you tuned in? I'm glad to have you, by the way. Now, the projected starting lineup for the A's in 2021 is pretty solid from top to bottom. And basically from 1 to 7, these guys hit with power, too. So the A's can not only put men on base, but they can supply some long ball power. And that's what I've always liked about the A's. They do what it takes to score runs. Now, the lineup is Ramon Laureano. He's a human highlight, film out in center field, and a great leadoff man. Mark Hanha in left field, and Matt Chapman. I don't know who flies under the radar more, Trevor Story, Nolan Arenado, or Matt Chapman, as three superstars who probably could walk down the street and people wouldn't even recognize. But Matt Chapman is as good as they come in baseball, and he may be the best third baseman. I give the edge to Arenado due to the numbers. We'll see what he does in St. Louis, but Matt Chapman is right behind him. And that Matt Olson, who can supply serious power from a position where you want power from first base, was your cleanup hitter. And Sean Murphy is one of the top catchers in the game, and I bet a lot of people don't even know about Sean Murphy. But if you watch enough A's baseball this year, and if you get a package like MLB TV, watch the A's and watch how good Sean Murphy is as a catcher. And then Mitch Moreland, who is known as a pure hitter, well, he's got the perfect position with the A's. He'll be the DH or probably batting sixth. And then fan favorite Stephen Biscotti. We all know what's going on in his life. He'll be in right field, and everybody roots for Stephen. Elvis Andrus, a player that was billed as to be a future superstar and never really blossomed out to be that way, but he is a good defensive shortstop. Just doesn't hit the way people expected, but he can hold his own, and he's got a big hole to fill at shortstop this year. But he's a viable replacement, so let's see what he can do. And then Tony Kemp at second base. So the Keystone Cops for the A's aren't probably what they want it to be, But like I said, the A's always manage to do something to bring out the best in their players, and if not, they add a missing piece. So we'll see what goes on there with the A's. And the starting rotation for the A's is a pretty good one. I like it. Mike Fiers is injured at the beginning of the year, so we'll see where he fits in once the season starts. But at the get-go from the beginning of the season, you'll have Chris Bassett, Jesus Luzardo, who I think really might be the ace of that staff. Great left-handed pitcher, Sean Manaea, Frankie Montas, and A.J. Puck. Everyone's had high expectations for AJ, so we'll see what he does this year. Not much expected of him. He's probably looked upon as the fifth starter. We'll see how he does. But all these guys are quite capable. Maybe none of them are staff aces, but all are potential 2-3 guys in rotation. So if they all can pitch well this year, high hopes indeed. And then the bullpen, I just love that they have as good a bullpen as possible. Trevor Rosenthal is going to be the man this year. I just love Trevor. Another one that had a big hole to fill as far as the race is concerned, and Trevor is that man. He is that good. And the other guys coming in out of the bullpen as the 8th and 7th inning men aren't that bad either. Jake Diekmann and Sergio Romo. Sergio Romo has been a relief specialist now with the Giants, the Rays, and Jake Diekmann I do like. But the key pickups were Rosenthal and Romo. I mean, they scored big getting Romo from the Twins and Rosenthal from the Padres. So interesting to see what happens there. Guy kind of like flying under the radar is J.B. Wendelken, a righty. And also Yusmeiro Petit, I like. So we'll see how those guys do. And as far as the future is concerned with the minor league system, there isn't really much on the horizon, which is unusual for the A's. It's almost like they have to retool their minor league system. So we'll see how that goes. But I never put anything past the A's front office management. They always seem to do it, and they always seem to have a winner out there. Now, it looks like the flavor of the month so far is the Angels for winning the division. And the Astros have a lot of guys that weren't prominent players coming back this year in 2020. So it's going to be good. It's going to be – don't underestimate the AL West. The Angels, Astros, and A's are all going to be competitive. But there's something about the A's I just never count them out. So don't be surprised if they make the postseason. So that's my little review on the A's. Hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please hit like. If you didn't, hit dislike. Please leave comments. I always love to hear from you, pro or con. And if you like these videos, just subscribe on the Facebook group, Baseball Way of Life. I always put up one of these videos a day. And I'm doing all 30 on 30 on there. But I do add other stuff during the course of most days. So if you want to see that, just subscribe and you'll get notified whenever a new video comes up. And I really do appreciate all your support. It means a lot to me from the feedback I've been getting, and I'm glad to hear you're enjoying them. So thanks so much, and have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Play ball, and remember, adios.